Welcome back to Inside City Hall. As we reported earlier, City Council lawmakers voted to override 4 bills that were vetoed last month by Mayor Adams. This comes with just weeks left in Adams' term and could be the final chapter of his ongoing battles with the City Council. One of the 4 pieces of legislation would have capped rent contributions from city housing voucher recipients. Joining me now to talk about that and much more is the lead sponsor of that bill. It's Deputy City Council Speaker Diana Ayala, whose district includes parts of northern Manhattan and part of the South Bronx. She's also the chair of the Committee on General Welfare. Welcome back to the program. Good to see you.
Always happy to be here, Earl.
Explain what went on with this housing voucher bill. As the chair of the Committee on General Welfare, which deals with things like rent assistance and homelessness, why was this specific legislation important, and what was the controversy all about?
I mean, this is a very important bill to me, having been the recipient of, voucher programs such as Section 8 and the first iteration of the City FEP's voucher, which was the Jiggets program. I know, really well how much 30% of my income, was, meant to me, right? It was a lie because it's a gross income that they're calculating. And so half of my, one of my checks of the month went on paying rent. Increasing that, from 30%, that was 30%. So increasing that to 40 was going to really create a financial burden for families that are already strapped, because we're talking about some of, the most low income families that qualify for the voucher to begin with. So what we're saying is, like, this policy change doesn't make sense. It's going to put people back in shelter. Let's keep it at the 30%. The administration said no. So we legislated it. So now it's capped, and they are not able to, consider the 40%, moving forward, which is a good thing for New Yorkers that are, really strapped for cash these days.
Where was that coming from? Was that from OMB? Was it from social services? Who in the administration, as far as you can tell, was pushing for this change to require people to give up 40% of their income as a way, before, I guess, giving them the voucher?
I think it was both offices. I think that they have been, communicating about how to make the program sustainable. The program is growing, very rapidly. It is the second largest subsidy program in the city of New York. So there is reason to be concerned about, how we're going to continue to fund this moving forward. But I just, we didn't feel that this was the right approach. We felt like, we agree with you. We need to figure and identify funding sources. Not in this way, though. This way would just be detrimental and could possibly, force families back into shelter.
We have only a few weeks left until a new administration takes over. The mayor has not spent a lot of time here. He's been off to, Albania and Israel, Uzbekistan, New Orleans. What's the feeling in the council about all of this? What's he up to?
I don't think that we care anymore. I think that we gave up on that a long time ago. And I think that the relationship between the council and, the administration has never been, a good one. From the beginning, they set a tone that, they were, free to legislate and change policies at their discretion, and they didn't need us. And so I don't think that there's any love lost on this side, and we haven't missed him.
You're going to be leaving office in less than a month after 8 years in office. What will you be doing then?
8 years in office and 20 years in the council. It's going to be very bittersweet. I love the work that I do. I'm very grateful for the platform to be able to move issues that have impacted me and my family, and continue to impact many members of my community. And I'm exploring several options. I want to be able to do something that, I'm happy doing, and something that's meaningful and actually effectuating change.
What would you say to other young people who are considering public service, either at the staff level or as an elected candidate?
I would say that this is the best thing that I've ever dared to do. Every step of the way I have been afraid of government, of being able to put myself out there. But I think that, again, these lived experiences have served, I think, the people in my community and in other communities citywide well, because they had a representative voice that actually understood the issues from the inside and understood the nuances that, contribute towards us not being able to fully help families when we have the tools to do so.
Your chief of staff, Elsie Encarnacion, is going to replace you on January 1st. She got elected. What's your main message to her in particular about what needs to be done in your district?
I mean, the good thing about the chief of staff running and, and winning is that she's already up to date with all of the issues. She knows all of the people. She has been a part of all of those discussions, funding related, legislative conversations. So I think that, that's an advantage to the community because she'll hit the ground running. But my advice is always make it your own, right? Because I legislate and I do things my way based on my experiences. And I'm sure that she, will have the opportunity to do the same. And I want her to have that freedom, without the shadow of, the deputy speaker or the former speaker, shining a cast over her tenure in the city council.
Okay. It is looking like the next speaker of the council will be Julie Menon. We had some reporting that down at Somos, you were suggesting that you'd had a conflict with her back when you both ran for speaker in the past. Can you talk a little bit about that? What was going on there, and do you think she'll make a good speaker?
I'll answer the last question first. I believe that she will make a good speaker. I don't think that she's unable or unqualified to do the job. My issue, and I thought that it was important that that other members understood, was that character is also important. And I was very hurt and offended by comments that have been made about whether or not I was competent enough to be able to lead this body. I find it ironic because here we are, 4 years later, and I'm the deputy speaker of the city council, and I have been sitting in the same rooms, making the same decisions, sometimes, more so, right, than some of my colleagues. And so I think that it's important that we also consider, right, a person's moral compass before we're making these decisions, because these are people that are going to potentially represent, millions of folks. And many of them look like me, and many of them come from communities like mine, and they sound like me. And we may not have gotten here in the same way, but we're still here, right? And so we should be supporting each other and, not using zip codes, right, to make the distinction between good and bad and, smart and not.
And I guess in our last minute, what would be your advice to the incoming mayoral administration as it takes shape?
Yeah, I would say that they need to listen to New Yorkers. They need to continue to listen to the voice of the people that are impacted by our policies and our funding priorities. There are a lot of outside voices that get involved in the politics of City Hall, and they think that there's a space and a place for all of those folks as well. But primarily, we're here to serve the people.
Okay. Well, you've had quite a career. We've always enjoyed talking with you. You were one of the people who, if you didn't make history, you certainly were close to unique in having at one time been homeless and then sort of risen to the heights of power in guiding the city forward. And we're going to miss your voice. Do stay in touch with us. Let us know whatever your next chapter holds.
Will do. Thank you so much, Errol.
Okay. We're going to take a short break now. When we come back, a Navy admiral told lawmakers today that media reports about Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's orders to kill survivors of a boat strike were not accurate. We'll bring you those details in 2 minutes. Stay with us.